There is no greater oppressed group than straight men in gaming, at least according to them, because every time the appearance of a female character is changed to be even a pixel less revealing, they throw all their many toys out of the pram and scream like their whole world is ending. And I just don't understand. Is it entitlement? Do they feel like the world owes them eye candy to look at? Are they mad that female characters, and by proxy female gamers, might be getting treated with the barest modicum of consideration beyond sexy lamp? If it's naked women they're after, the internet is literally at their fingertips. There is a wealth of free pornographic material out there. Hell, they could even commission someone to do erotic art, writing, or animations of their beloved waifus if they so desired. Not that I expect any of them to actually care about that, because it isn't about appreciating sexy women, attraction, or even chronic horniness, though that all plays a part. It's about control, exclusion, keeping their digital men's club intact even though girls have played games for just as long as them. We've just had to be quieter about it, especially those of us who grew up gaming in online spaces, because there's something about hearing a young girl's voice that makes far too many men behave like starving wolves smelling blood. A 14-year-old girl should not be getting rape jokes thrown at her by grown men for the temerity of trying to communicate with her team. But this is getting a bit too dark, so let's slide this back to the horrific censorship of female characters that they care oh so much about. Because the lads may not know this, but we've heard it all before. We've heard every single argument they try to use to explain why they're this mad about not being able to see as much digital cleavage as before. That doesn't simply boil down to them being chronically horny. Which I would respect more if they just admitted it rather than trying to dress it up in some flaccid attempt at greater meaning, or even better, try to flip it around. I know a lot of dudes really think they're onto something when they point to characters like Kratos or Conan and say they're just as sexualized as, say, Soul Calibur's Ivy or Metal Gear's Quiet. Okay, let's pretend for a hot minute that these aren't completely transparent and bad faith attempts at a gotcha and go through some very basic shit. Despite the not insignificant population of female gamers, the actual creation of video games is still very much overwhelmingly carried out by and for straight men. So in terms of culture, social norms, views, etc., video games are designed to suit the tastes and desires of straight, cis, and almost always white men. And please remember that none of those words are condemnations. I'm white, after all. It's just a fact that aspects of my life will not properly reflect the life of a black woman. Now, what are games usually made to facilitate? A power fantasy. Look at you go, you're a big strong adventurer who'll save the kingdom and get the princess. And the princess? She's a romantic fantasy, a sexual fantasy. Kratos isn't designed to be a sexual fantasy for women. He's designed to appeal to straight men so they feel powerful and masculine as they murderize their way through whatever pantheon of gods Kratos is working his way through this time. You want to see a man when he is framed to appeal to straight women? Don't panic, lads, I promise it's safe for work. On the left is appealing to men. Hugh Jackman is shirtless and posed to show off how shredded he is, relying on the ultraviolence implied by his role as Wolverine to amplify the masculine aggression that is just jumping out of the cover at you. Men, you can look just like this too. Just ignore that we probably dehydrated this man for at least 24 hours so his skin would shrink and cling to his muscles, and we only fed him a single saltine. On the right, we have a clean-shaven Mr. Jackman in a nice blue sweater. He looks fresh from the shower, his hair is swept back, not a hint of naked, macho chest-pounding to be seen. This man looks like he would send you flowers, cook you a nice meal, and get you home before 10. He also looks like he has a nice dog, and who doesn't love dogs? It's the vibes. Now, I'm definitely not saying there aren't women who find ultra-masculine meatheads attractive, just that when people who rely on their decisions in order to make money design things to appeal to certain people, there's a pattern. And that pattern appears to be hypermasculine, bearded, shirtless dudes showing off their muscles for men, and softer, kinder-looking guys who don't look like they'll punch holes in your walls for women. Are we getting this, class? Making notes? As if the dudes this is directed at haven't just looked at the thumbnail and left an incoherent scream in the comments. Another great one I've seen is that going from this to this is because of the woke mob pressuring game devs into covering up female bodies because women are apparently not allowed to be sexy anymore. Yeah, we're just gonna gloss over the exhausting dog whistle that is the supposed scourge of quote-unquote wokeism and go straight to the idea that the only way in which women can be considered sexy is if they're wearing dental floss at worst and chain bikinis at best. Is your taste really that stunted, that basic? Do you also only have sex in the missionary position? I know some of you will groan at the mention of her because you frankly haven't recovered from that period where you just couldn't escape her online, but in my opinion, Lady D was a good example of a very attractive female character without putting her in absurdly skimpy clothing. Was her cleavage quite visible? Yes, there's nothing wrong with that. Her dress fits her quite nicely, but they committed to the vibe. She's imposing, strong, and elegant. Her presence is a commanding threat, and they picked the perfect voice for her. She fit in very well with the aesthetic and tone of the game. Now, had they given her an outfit like, say, Vampirella, that would be an entirely different story, and she would have been utterly boring, as she would have been just like every other female character in skimpy outfits, because none of the people responsible for those designs have the fucking range. The root problem is that these are fictional characters that are designed by real people, which horny bros try to sidestep by arguing that a given female character can choose to wear whatever she wants, as if this elaborately designed set of pixels is a real person with thoughts, feelings, and desires. Okay, dude, come here. No, closer. Closer. Please go outside and touch grass. All too often, an actual human being makes the decision to greenlight sexualized designs for female characters, but when was the last time you saw a male character with his beefed up ass cheeks just out for everyone to stare at? When was the last time you even noticed male characters with an ass and groin that weren't flatter than a fucking communion wafer because the male devs felt uncomfortable sculpting some digital man cake? Like, how do you people even function outside in real life where flesh and blood men do have asses and bulge? Is your masculinity that easy to threaten? Why am I even asking that? Some of you think showing basic affection to your male friends is gay. Look, if you want to dress your characters in sexy outfits, that's fine, do what sparks joy, but the playing field should be even, and it often isn't. If there's player character armor that is skimpy on women but becomes a practical tin can on men, that is cowardice. Either make the armor skimpy on both, or don't do it at all. But then if you do that, the same dudes who decried the censorship of female bodies will suddenly be all for conservative clothing if there's a male character who is actually sexualized and isn't a half-naked macho power fantasy. And I know it's because they're hypocrites with unexamined homophobia. I know that this argument is never going to die anytime soon, but it doesn't get any less exhausting every time that crowd loses their shit because they're losing a few inches of exposed thigh. Every time a woman is designed to actually fit the apocalyptic setting she's in rather than solely designed to fulfill their juvenile need for constant sexual stimulus. Every time a creepy upskirt shot of a female character is edited out of the Western release. Every time a cleavage shot is edited out of a game cover. Every time a fucking victory pose is changed to suit the character's personality rather than just straight up display her arse for no real reason other than base titillation. Please get some hobbies, join a club, get a pet. I've heard shrimp are a good starting point. Do literally anything to fill the void that so obviously exists in your lives if you get this bent out of shape over not getting to see a fictional woman's tits. Well, thank you for watching, treat yourselves kindly, and I will see you next time this overly horny outrage kicks off. We're doing another one in a month, right?
Patreon update will come with the Nagrand video.